I carried my parents for 5 years and even put their mortgage in my name, until they secretly handed the house to my golden sister. But the move I made next forced every ounce of their ingratitude to come crashing back on them. I, 28 male, spent 5 years paying my parents' rent, 5 years keeping them afloat. I did it because I thought I was helping them get back on their feet. What I didn't know was that I was just building a future for my younger sister Sarah, 25 female, the favorite, the freeloading princess, who never lifted a finger but somehow always landed on top. Backstory first. I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with my parents, Roberto and Carmen, and Sarah. My dad worked in a factory, my mom cleaned houses part-time, and money was always tight. I'm not going to pretend we were dirt poor, but there were weeks we were living off rice and canned tuna. I got my first real job at 23 as a systems technician, nothing glamorous but decent enough to finally think about moving out. That didn't happen. Right after I landed that job, my dad injured his back at work and was out for 3 months without pay. Rent was overdue, the landlord started putting notices on the door, and my mom cried almost every night. Sarah, who was 20 at the time and focused on her graphic design degree, didn't even look up from her phone. She didn't work, she said a job would mess with her creative flow. Let me tell you a quick story from when I was 18 that should have told me everything I needed to know. It was Sarah's birthday, and my parents threw her this insane party, like full-blown Pinterest board, balloons, catered food, lights, cake taller than my niece. They invited her friends, bought her a MacBook for school, and even rented one of those dumb little photo booths for Instagram. You know what I got for my 18th birthday? A cake from the grocery store and a passive-aggressive speech about how I'd better start contributing, now that I'm legally an adult. The same night of her party, my dad asked me to take out the trash during the damn party because you live here rent-free. That was the vibe. We were eating eggs and rice for the 3rd night in a row when my dad looked up and hit me with the classic line, "Son, we need to talk." He didn't even need to say it, I already knew what was coming. They asked me to help with rent just until he got back to work. Of course I said yes. That just until turned into 5 full years. I paid $800 a month in rent plus utilities plus whatever surprise family emergencies popped up, broken fridge, car repair, dentist, groceries. I skipped vacations, skipped promotions in other cities, canceled dates, and wore the same damn jeans for 2 years while Sarah posted pictures from trips to Miami and Cancun with the caption, "Work hard, play harder." She'd never even had a job. She finished her degree without ever working a shift and went on shopping sprees monthly while I was watching every cent. My ex left me because I still lived at home and never had time or money to go out. Her exact words were, "I can't compete with your family." She wasn't wrong. Came the housing crisis. Our landlord gave notice he was selling the building, and rent prices in the area skyrocketed. They had nowhere to go, so I felt bad, stupidly responsible. I said the worst sentence I've ever said in my life, "I'll buy us a house." They acted like I just gave them the keys to heaven, and Sarah actually stood up and hugged me. That was the first physical contact I'd had from her in maybe 3 years. I should have known then. I spent the next 6 weeks doing the work. I found the house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a decent little yard in a quiet neighborhood, not luxurious, but it was clean and safe. I handled everything, mortgage under my name, down payment straight from my savings, 5 years of scraping by while Sarah lived it up. I signed all the paperwork, closed the deal, paid for renovations, and painted the living room myself. Moving day came, I helped them carry boxes and we cried together. It felt like I'd finally done something real for the family, like I'd finally earned a home, not just for them, but for me too. For 2 weeks it felt good. My mom was cooking full meals again, my dad trimmed hedges like he was trying to impress the HOA, and Sarah decorated her new room like she was moving into a high-rise apartment. I took the smallest room and didn't care, seeing them happy felt worth it. Then one day I'm at work, mid-morning coffee break, just scrolling Facebook to kill 5 minutes, and I see it. Sarah posted a photo in front of the house, big cheesy grin, one hand on her hip, one hand holding the keys like she just won the Price is Right. Caption said, "Thank you, Mom and Dad, for gifting me my first home # feeling blessed." I almost dropped my phone. I called her instantly. "What does that post mean?" Her, after a long pause, "Oh, that one. Well, technically it is. Mom and Dad put the deed in my name." I didn't say anything. I just hung up. 5 years of doing everything for them, and they gave it to her, not even asked, not even mentioned it. I didn't sleep that night. I laid there replaying every time I said no to myself and yes to them. All the jobs I didn't take, all the things I didn't buy, the relationship I lost, the career moves I paused. The next day I took a day off work and drove to the house. I stood at the front door with my own keys in my hand and couldn't use them, so I rang the bell. My mom opened it like she saw a ghost. "You're not at work?" I walked in. Sarah was in the kitchen eating cereal like it was any other day. My dad was on the back patio, reading the paper like it wasn't the house I paid for. I sat down at the table and said flat out, "Explain the deed." My dad folded the paper slowly. "We thought it was better this way." "Better how?" Mom jumped in. "You already have a job, Daniel. Your future is stable. Sarah needs stability. She's never worked a day in her life." Sarah looked up from her cereal. "That's not true. I did internships. Unpaid, 2 months." I looked at my dad again. "You think I'm established? I live in a 10 by 10 room with cardboard walls and no lock. I've given you 5 years of my life and you gave her my house." Silence, thick silence. That's when my mom said it. "We didn't steal from you, we just planned for the family." That's when I realized this wasn't an accident, it was a plan and I was never part of it. I didn't slam the door when I left. I didn't yell. I just stood up, walked out, got in my car, and drove off. That's what freaked them out the most. No scene, no fight, just cold silence. For the next 2 weeks I stayed with Jack, my cousin on my dad's side. He's 2 years older than me, works in HVAC, owns his own place, and he's the only one in the family who's never kissed Sarah's ass. I told him everything. He just shook his head and said, "They robbed you clean, man, straight up identity theft," with a smile. He wasn't wrong. While I was sleeping on his couch, I pulled credit reports, checked deed transfers, and bank statements. Everything lined up with what Sarah said. The house was legally hers, my name wiped clean from the title. Here's where it gets better. The mortgage was still in my name. They transferred ownership to Sarah but kept the loan under me, so I'd still be on the hook if she defaulted. I texted my mom about it. Her reply, "It's temporary, Daniel, just until she builds her credit." That was the first time I used the words, "You people are not my family." I called the bank. The lady on the line walked me through my options. None of them were great. If I tried to remove myself from the mortgage, Sarah would have to requalify solo, no income, no job history. She wouldn't pass a credit check at Chuck E. Cheese. If I defaulted, my credit tanks forever. I scheduled a meeting with a real estate attorney and told her the whole story. She didn't even flinch. Happens more than you think. Parents taking advantage of the responsible kid to prop up the useless one. She pulled the documents, her exact words after reading them. "They used you like a stepping stone, and now they're standing on your back." We drafted a demand letter that day. While that was in motion, I started noticing weird stuff online. Sarah's TikTok went private, her Instagram had comments turned off, Facebook gone. They were trying to get ahead of the storm. What I didn't expect was what came next. My uncle, Mom's brother, called me. He said he heard from my mom that I was threatening to sue the family over a misunderstanding. I told him it wasn't a misunderstanding, it was fraud. He told me to calm down, said family is more important than money. I asked him if he'd co-sign a house for me, and then hand it over to someone else. Click, he hung up. Phone didn't stop ringing for days. Aunts, cousins, old neighbors, even my godmother, all saying the same thing. "Why are you doing this to your sister?" Not what she did, not the stolen house, just me being the problem. That's when I realized Sarah was running PR. She'd already told everyone I was losing it, that I was jealous and unstable, even that I was trying to evict our parents and take back the house like some kind of cartoon villain. Meanwhile, I hadn't even filed the suit yet. I kept my mouth shut publicly and let them run their mouths, but behind the scenes I went surgical. My attorney got the mortgage company on the phone, confirmed everything, and sent cease and desist letters to Sarah and my parents for identity misuse, then filed the paperwork. That was the first real hit. My mom called me at work sobbing that I was tearing the family apart and letting outsiders into our business. I told her this stopped being a family issue the second they forged my signature on those refi documents. She said I was being dramatic, so I hung up. Next week, Jack and I drove by the house, my house, to see what they were up to, and of course there it was. A huge banner across the garage. "Happy birthday, Sarah." Another party, another catered setup, full-on DJ, catering tent, photo booth. It looked like a damn wedding reception. She was out front doing a TikTok dance while my dad filmed on his iPad. I counted 3 cars parked out front. None of them were mine, none of them were even paid for by anyone in that house. That's when Jack muttered, "They really think you won't finish this, huh?" 2 days later, I froze all shared accounts, credit cards, utility bills, grocery cards, everything that had my name attached, gone. My mom texted me at 6 in the morning the next day, "Grocery cards not working, can you check?" I replied, "Ask the homeowner." They lost their minds. Sarah texted me 18 times in 1 hour, all caps, calling me toxic, vindictive, cruel. I didn't reply. I forwarded every message to my attorney. Then came the cherry on top. Sarah tried to rent out my room on Facebook Marketplace, posted photos of my old room, the one I painted, with the caption "Spacious room for rent in lovely home." I sent the listing to my lawyer, she added it to the fraud file. The lawsuit officially hit them a week later, service papers delivered at 8 in the morning on a Sunday. Neighbors watched, Sarah cried. My mom begged the guy not to hand her anything, my dad tried to slam the door, but the process server just slid the envelope through the gap. Jack and I were down the block in his truck watching the whole thing, not smiling, not laughing, just watching. Jack said, "They're going to call you heartless." I nodded. Let them. They weren't done. Next move, Sarah's fake job. Turns out she'd been telling people she worked remotely for some LA design firm. Total lie. We found out because she tried to use that fake income to refinance the house once the lawsuit was filed. The bank asked for verification, no response, application denied. Now she was stuck with a house she couldn't afford, no income, no working credit, and a lawsuit getting uglier by the week. All she had left was drama, and she used it every day, crying to anyone who would listen, posting vague Instagram stories about backstabbers and betrayal, quoting Bible verses she'd never read, even tried to get a GoFundMe going. Didn't raise a dime. Meanwhile, my lawyer was preparing the final shot, court demand to remove me from all financial obligations, seize the house through fraud restitution, and force them to pay damages. The hearing was set for 9 in the morning on a Wednesday. I wore my only decent button-up and walked in like I'd already won because I had. My lawyer showed up with a folder thick enough to kill a raccoon, screenshots, bank statements, the fake job listing, the fake lease, the TikToks, everything. Sarah showed up late, full makeup, oversized sunglasses like she was walking into a Netflix doc. My parents shuffled in behind her like groupies. They didn't even look at me. The judge didn't waste time, Mr. Daniel. You're claiming the home was fraudulently transferred while the mortgage remained in your name? My lawyer nodded. Correct, without his consent, and they leveraged his credit to apply for refinancing using false income statements. She passed over the employment verification Sarah submitted. The judge skimmed it. Says here she works for Pixel & Company, doesn't exist. My lawyer, we contacted the listed company, got a response, never heard of her. The judge turned to Sarah. Is that accurate? Sarah mumbled. I do freelance sometimes. Freelance doesn't show up on a W-2. The judge shot back. My parents tried to chime in about family misunderstandings. The judge held up a hand. This isn't a family therapy session. This is a civil fraud case involving a 6-figure property and misrepresentation to a lender. That shut them up. They tried one last Hail Mary, said the house was always meant for Sarah, that I was donating the payments as part of my family duties. The judge raised an eyebrow. So you're suggesting your adult son gifted you $58,000 and co-signed a mortgage to donate a property to his sister while also paying all maintenance and bills and receiving nothing in writing? They didn't answer because, what could they say? Final ruling, house reverted to my legal control pending Sarah refinancing in her own name, which we all knew she couldn't do. Cease and desist upheld. Damages hearing scheduled. Fraud report forwarded to the lender and to the State Attorney General's office for possible criminal investigation. As soon as we walked out, Sarah burst into tears loud enough for the hallway to hear. My mom begged me not to destroy her future. I told her to worry about her daughter's choices, not mine. The ride home was quiet. Jack bought us tacos after and said that judge didn't even blink. I said, because it wasn't close. The fallout started instantly. Sarah went back online, but this time it wasn't curated. She was unhinged, posting 20+ stories a day, all cryptic, fake people exposed. Family is just blood, not loyalty. Don't trust the ones closest to you. She was acting like she didn't just get smacked in court with documents signed in blue ink and a fake job title. Worse, word got around fast. Turns out her design career was built entirely on smoke. Half her Instagram portfolio was AI generated. Clients started ghosting her. One of her collabs even issued a statement saying they'd never worked with her. That went viral locally. Then came the eviction notice. Yeah, from me. With the mortgage under my name again, I had every legal right to issue formal notice. Gave them 30 days to vacate. My mom called me the next morning crying that she didn't know where they'd go. I said, ask the homeowner, the same line I used when the grocery card got declined. I figured if they wanted to act like I was a stranger, I'd treat them like tenants. They stalled until day 29, then left in the night, no goodbye, no heads up, left the place trashed, Stains in the carpet, holes in the walls, fridge full of expired yogurt and cheap wine coolers. Jack helped me clean it, took us a full weekend. When we finished, he cracked his back and said, "You're officially a landlord now." I said, "Nope, I'm selling it." And I did. Put it on the market 2 weeks later. Took a slight loss after repairs, but I didn't care. I didn't want anything tied to their mess. Walked away clean, closed the account, changed my number, haven't spoken to them since. Every now and then someone from that side of the family tries to reach out, usually through Jack. Tell him Sarah's sorry, tell him Carmen's not doing well, tell him Roberto wants to talk. Jack doesn't even bother passing it along anymore. The story is not about revenge, it's about boundaries. And I finally learned how to draw mine. 3 months after the eviction, Sarah popped up like nothing ever happened. New username, new aesthetic. Her Instagram was now some bizarre mix of Pinterest mom and motivational speaker. She changed her handle to Rise with Sarah. Bio said digital creator, survivor, empath, helping women own their worth. I wish I was joking. Her feed was full of pastel backgrounds and Canva-made quotes like, "Pain is the price of purpose," and "Healing isn't linear, but my growth is exponential." Meanwhile, in real life, she was sleeping on our aunt's pull-out couch and borrowing shampoo from her cousins. Jack texted me one of her reels, a minute-long clip of her staring at the camera with sad music while subtitles read, "When your own blood betrays you but God has bigger plans." I replied, "Should have added fraudulent title transfer enthusiast to her bio." She wasn't just posting for clout, she was trying to build a brand. Started selling $99 healing kits on her Etsy, literally mason jars with glitter, a scented candle, a handwritten affirmation card, and some dollar store stones she claimed were charged under a full moon. Someone left a review saying the candle smelled like gasoline. Another said they opened the jar and found a used sticker from a Marshall's tag still on the crystal. Her biggest move was launching a GoFundMe titled "Help Me Rebuild After Family Betrayal." Description was wild. Claimed her abusive brother used legal loopholes to displace her from her home. Said she was the victim of financial manipulation and covert narcissism. Goal $20,000. Amount raised after 3 weeks, $46, and half of that was from her own burner account. I wasn't even mad, I was impressed. That level of self-delusion takes training. Then it got funnier. She tried to apply for a small business grant and used my old address as the business HQ, the same address she got evicted from. Guess who the verification email went to? Me. I sent the whole packet to the grant committee along with court documents and screenshots of her fake resume. Got a reply 2 days later. "Thank you for your submission. The application has been declined and flagged." Felt like a mic drop. Around this time, she also tried to show face at a family event, some distant cousin's engagement party. Walked in like she owned the place, wore all white, gave a speech about forgiveness, left in tears when one of the aunts asked her how her graphic design business was going. Jack was there. He said she got into an argument in the parking lot with her own mom over gas money. My parents were still pretending none of this happened, renting a 2-bedroom near a strip mall and telling everyone they downsized by choice. Carmen supposedly told one of her friends that Daniel's going through something and they're just letting him cool off. Sure, cool off from identity theft, public smear campaigns, and 5 years of financial leeching, totally normal sibling stuff. Meanwhile, I had peace, quiet evenings, a new apartment in a better area, paid off my car, took my first vacation in 7 years to Vegas. Blackjack treated me better than my own family ever did. The only thing left was to clean up what was still floating around with my name on it. Closed every last joint account, transferred every utility, filed for a formal fraud alert on my credit, even set up a freeze just in case Sarah got creative again. I thought it was done, I really did. Until Jack sent me a screenshot of a Reddit post. Yep, she found Reddit. Posted in one of those relationship subreddits claiming she was cut off by her brother after being gifted a house and that she just wanted to keep the family together. Comments lit her up. One person said, "You sound like a manipulator who finally ran into consequences." Another said, "Your brother's a saint for not pressing charges." She deleted the post in under an hour. That was the final blow. Not legal, not financial, just social. Her story didn't hold up anywhere anymore. Not in court, not in group chats, not even online. It started with a voicemail from my mom. First one in months. Her voice was soft, the fake concern type like she was auditioning for a Hallmark movie. "Daniel, I know things have been hard, but your sister's trying, she's really trying, maybe you two can talk just once." I didn't respond. Next day my work phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. "Hey Daniel, "It's me." It was Sarah. First time hearing her voice since the lawsuit. She didn't sound angry or arrogant, just flat, like someone who ran out of charm and excuses. She asked if I could meet her for coffee, said she wanted to talk like adults. I told her if she had anything to say it through a lawyer, and hung up. She called 3 more times that week, left messages like we're family and I was young and stupid. I didn't know the full story. That last one was hilarious because she was the one who posted the keys on Facebook like she just bought her first condo off Monopoly money. Then came the real twist. Carmen ended up in the ER. I got a text from my aunt. "Your mom fainted in church. She's stable but needs rest." A couple hours later, I get a message from Sarah. "I know we're not on good terms, but mom is asking for you. Please come." That one hit different, not because of guilt, but because I knew the playbook. This wasn't a tragedy, it was a tactic. Jack drove with me to the hospital just in case. I walked into the room and there they were. Sarah sitting next to the bed with some dramatic shawl over her shoulders like she was in mourning. Carmen propped up with a tube in her arm, looking way too comfortable for someone who collapsed. Roberto in the corner reading a damn newspaper like it was a dentist's office. No one said anything for a second. Then Carmen goes, "I knew you'd come," and patted the bed. "Come sit, mijo." She said she had low blood sugar and dehydration. The doctor told her to eat more and rest. That's it, a warning, not a crisis. But she kept patting the bed like we were going to hug it out and pretend the last year never happened. Sarah stood up and did her best apology attempt. Said she was sorry, said she missed me, even cried a little. She tried to hand me a little envelope, said it was a gesture. Inside was a $50 Starbucks card and a Hallmark card that said, "Families fight but love always wins." I handed it back and told them I wasn't there to play happy reunion. I asked if they were dropping the countersuit. Yep, Sarah and Carmen had filed a countersuit claiming emotional distress. Said I was harassing them by seeking excessive legal action for what they claimed was a gift misunderstanding. They both looked away when I brought it up. Carmen said, "We were just scared, everything moved too fast." Sarah added, "We didn't know what else to do." I said, "You could have not committed fraud, that's usually a solid plan." Roberto finally looked up and said, "It's family business, it didn't need to go legal." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You forged my name, that's not family business, that's a crime." Then I walked out. Jack followed. 2 days later, their lawyer reached out. They wanted to settle, drop the case, and they'd return the house, but no damages, no admission of wrongdoing, and I'd be responsible for closing costs. We sent back one line, full restitution or we go to court. They dragged it out, weeks of silence, then new versions of the same lowball. One even included a clause where I'd sign an NDA as if I was some celebrity they were protecting from TMZ. Eventually, my lawyer filed to escalate the fraud charge and added a damages estimate based on lost wages, mental distress, and credit recovery costs. It got real for them after that. Roberto cracked first, called Jack asking if there was any way to make this right before lawyers get greedy. Jack said, "They're not the greedy ones, you are." A week later, the final offer came in: full return of property, formal apology letter, notarized payment of damages, an agreement to remove my name from every future financial obligation. And they'd also publicly post a retraction on Facebook and send written statements to the credit bureaus clearing me. We accepted. It wasn't forgiveness, it was a transaction. They bought silence, I bought closure. Sarah posted the apology online with a caption, "Sometimes healing comes through hard lessons. We own our mistakes." Comments turned off. I printed the apology, framed it, and hung it in the hallway of my apartment like a trophy. Jack came over that night, looked at it, and said, "So what now?" I said, "Now I live." They weren't done, not even close. Sarah was the kind of entitled that doesn't just go away when reality punches her in the teeth. She doubled down. After the lawsuit hit and the refinance got denied, she started unraveling publicly. First those vague Instagram stories, "Trust no one," "Family will hurt you worse than strangers," classic fake deep quotes she didn't even understand. I ignored it. But she wasn't just venting, she was scheming. I got a call from a former coworker I hadn't spoken to in over a year. "Yo man, your sister just left a 1-star review on our company page calling you a thief." I thought he was joking, he wasn't. Sarah made burner accounts and started blasting me all over the internet. Google reviews, Glassdoor, LinkedIn comments, everywhere she could drop a lie. Said I was emotionally unstable, financially abusive, accused me of sabotaging her mental health. She even called my boss pretending to be a concerned client and tried to get me fired. HR flagged it instantly, called me in, let me hear the voicemails. I just nodded and said, "Yep, that's my sister." They backed me up hard. Apparently she tried to impersonate 3 different people and all of them sounded like her. She didn't even try to disguise her voice. After that failed, She went nuclear on the family angle. Sent a mass email to extended relatives and old neighbors with some long-winded essay about how I'd manipulated her mentally and bullied our parents into silence. Included photos of the house, crying selfies, and a fake screenshot of me admitting I was trying to make her homeless. She forgot to change the contact name, it said Sarah Me at the top. I didn't reply, I forwarded it straight to my lawyer. 2 weeks later, she started showing up. First outside my office building, just standing across the street with sunglasses and coffee like she was in a Netflix stalker doc. Then she started hitting Jack's house, ringing the doorbell, pounding on it like she was delivering a subpoena. We never opened. She'd just stand there yelling through the door about justice and God seeing everything. Jack called the cops twice and filed for a restraining order. Sarah got served again. That same week, my parents sent me a handwritten letter like it was 1952. 10 pages of guilt, scripture, and begging. You're destroying your sister's future. You'll regret this when we're gone. You're acting like a stranger to your own blood. I didn't even finish reading it. Jack took it and tossed it in the shredder. Sarah's final act of delusion hit. She filed a counterclaim claiming I committed fraud, said I coerced her into signing something she didn't understand and used her credit to apply for the mortgage. Her logic made zero sense, especially since she had no credit, no job, and the mortgage was in my name the whole time. Still, the court had to hear it. My attorney wiped the floor with her. Sarah showed up with a folder of printouts and her witness, some guy she used to date who once installed her cable. He spent most of his time on the stand talking about her kind heart and love for design. The judge looked like he wanted to slap both of them with a textbook. By the end of the hearing, Sarah's story fell apart completely. The judge ruled in my favor again, tossed the counterclaim, and ordered her to pay my legal fees for dragging it out. When the ruling came down, she cried in the hallway like she was auditioning for a drama class and screamed something about me taking everything. Jack and I walked right past her without saying a word. A week later, her Instagram was gone, deleted. Her GoFundMe disappeared too. Last I heard, she moved in with some guy she met through a Healing Crystals Facebook group. The Healing Crystal boyfriend kicked her out after 3 weeks when she couldn't pay rent and accused his dog of blocking her chakra flow. She bounced to a friend's place, then a cousin's, then finally landed with my aunt on a pull-out couch in a 1-bedroom apartment with no AC and 2 toddlers screaming all day. My parents didn't do any better. All their enabler friends backed off when the lawsuit became public record. Nobody wants to host brunch with people being investigated for mortgage fraud. They got evicted from their rental after missing back-to-back payments, and since their credit was wrecked from co-signing every stupid idea Sarah had, they couldn't qualify for even a junk studio. Roberto tried moving them into a motel. Carmen called it temporary spiritual rest. That rest lasted 6 nights. Then their car got towed from the lot for unpaid tickets, and they dipped into couch hopping, parking lot living, dollar menu diet homeless. Sarah tried spinning it on Instagram again, posting a blurry photo of a McDonald's cup with the caption, "Sometimes life humbles you, but we rise." No location tag, no story highlight, just silence afterward. I was fully out by then. New place, new car paid in full. My job gave me a raise after the lawsuit wrapped. They said they were impressed with how I handled a high-pressure personal situation. I didn't say anything, just nodded and thanked them. Internally, I wanted to print that sentence and mail it to my parents on a t-shirt. Then came the last scene. I was walking into my building late afternoon, headphones in, gym bag on my shoulder, when Jack called and said, "You're going to want to check the front entrance." I turned the corner, and there they were. All 3 of them, standing outside the glass doors to my apartment building like stray dogs. Sarah was wearing a hoodie 2 sizes too big. Carmen looked like she hadn't slept in a week, and Roberta was holding a trash bag like it was luggage. Sarah stepped forward first. "Can we talk?" Carmen chimed in, voice weak. "We just need a place to stay, just a few days, Daniel, please." Roberto looked at the floor, then at me, then back at the floor. I pulled out my phone, checked the time, didn't flinch, didn't blink. Then I said, loud enough for them to hear through the glass, "No," and I walked inside.